Mr. Manoj Gupta, co-founder and CEO of craftsvilla.com as a speaker. Manoj is a very special speaker for a couple of reasons. One, he is a PGPX alumni and he was part of the first batch of PGPX class of 2007, right? And two, and the second obvious reason why he's a special speaker is because he's opted to travel the road less traveled, which is starting his own firm, right? Manoj, just to let you know, the PGPX class of 2016, that is the current batch, has about 85 students, and the collective experience put together is about 900 years, right? So with this, I would like to hand over to Manoj to walk us through his journey at craftsvilla.com. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am the only colorful person here. Well, that's the beauty of ethnic, that you can be more colorful, charming, those kind of stuff. So, thanks to everyone, thanks to PGPX, 2016 batch. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to speak to the PGPX, blood, which pretty much we are the pioneers. So, I still remember in 2007, we first came. We were like, wondering what it will be, and with a lot of questions in our head, and finally, when we came out of 1 year, it was good. A lot of things changed, at least for me. I was completely a geeky engineer, and I completely became like on the other side, went into a venture capitalist role, became a venture capitalist, this kind of stuff. So I'm quite sure you will have fun. I'm, quite sure you are having fun right now. But at the end of the year, I think you will come out different from, the input, the output will be very different. So, to your frank, I don't know what the topic is, but, I carry the baggage, multiple baggage. I was an entrepreneur in US. I became a venture capitalist in between, and then I became an entrepreneur again. All along, entrepreneurship has been, flowing into my blood, and a lot of things I did pretty much was related to entrepreneurship. So I would structure the talk broadly around that. I would share whatever I can and whatever I think will be useful to you all. Whether you are going into a corporate world or whether you are going into a entrepreneurship journey, just I hope by sharing my experiences, my insights, observations, if it can help you, I'll try to do the best. The first part of the talk will be around craftsvilla.com. Pretty much that's the blood which is flowing into my veins right now. So, putting that story as the starting point and then taking you back in some ways, what led to that and those kind of stuff, I think will be useful in general. So, pretty much the talk is structured on that. Just to highlight the background, I went to IIM Bombay, then went to US. I was there for 8 years. Was doing my PhD. While I was doing my PhD, started a company in San Diego. Pretty much doing really geeky stuff. I was designing like analog circuits kind of stuff, which is like completely geeky. Well, the real change happened after I came to PGPX. So like directional change. It was a change which I did not expect, to be very frank. But the change happened. So the journey after that was like I joined Nexus Venture Partners, which is pretty much I was the first employee there. I was from PGPX. I joined Nexus in 2007, and so for 4 years I was there. Did a lot of investments across different categories, themes, across different opportunities, locations, India, outside of India kind of stuff. And then in 2011, I said, before I have more gray hair. Let me go on the other side again and really create something very unique, very impactful, something very, very big. That pretty much was the, I would say the motivation of leaving Nexus and starting Craftseller.com. So I mean, you can pretty much see that, from a technology to like, today I am into crafts and all that kind of stuff. So that pretty much PGPX was the direction change. So today Craftseller.com is a 200 billion startup. We are still a startup. We believe that our journey is to $10 billion. We pretty much, for the first year, we were silent, completely building the foundation kind of stuff. And today we are the fastest growing, startup e-commerce company in India right now. We grew like 20 times in the last 12 months. We pretty much have a very unique story. It's a story which has come out of India. It's a story which is very, very different from just completely run-of-the-mill e-commerce companies. It's a story which is near profitable. It's not a story where I'm throwing discounts and attracting customers kind of stuff. We are very well venture capital funded. We have $20 million. We have more money coming in. So, pretty very well funded. Other stats are pretty much there. So the vision of Craftseller.com, if you see, is to take societies back to their roots. It's pretty simple. We think we're going in the X direction, and as entrepreneur, we saw a direction where opportunity in the Y direction. We said everyone is going in the digital direction. What about the direction which is back, right? Which is pretty much going back to the roots, enjoying again what we used to enjoy in some ways, right? So pretty much ethnic wear, culture, music, food, yoga, meditation, handicraft, spiritual, pretty much touching every part of ethnic and culture which we used to enjoy. So today, our goal is to become the ethnic umbrella brand globally. The opportunity today is that there isn't anyone in ethnic space which has a global brand. So that's the opportunity we have, and pretty much that's the opportunity we want to capture. As I told you, there's none exists. I mean, that pretty much is the opportunity for us. There isn't anyone which you can say, okay, this is the ethnic brand, or this is the ethnic online player which is close to Craftseller.com. The first time when we started, the first time when I went to pitch VCs, pretty much everyone asked, what is there as is in US? What is there as is in Europe? Because there isn't, right? And that makes it very difficult to get funding. Because it's very easy to say, I want to become Uber of India, I want to become Amazon of India, I want to become that of India, right? But if you say, I want to become Craftseller of India, which doesn't exist anywhere else, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for VCs to invest. But the opportunity is there. When you believe in something and you want to do what you believe is pretty much can make a lot of impact, and if you go on that journey full force with your eyes focused, laser on that target, right? You pretty much can do wonders in some ways if you are the only one on that road, right? So as I told you, we are fastest growing e-commerce company right now. Pretty much whenever I meet VCs today, they say, oh my goodness, we have not seen a company like this, that kind of stuff. So, and we are a global company. We started in India, we are now going to Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia. Pretty much wherever the ethnic culture is very strong, we want to take whatever is there ethnic in that country and say, let's bring it to their own people, let's rediscover for them. Let's just put onto a platform like Craftseller.com what has been existing in their country for so long, but they don't really know about that, those kind of stuff. And online plays a big role in this, right? Reason why a company like Craftseller.com exists today and didn't exist previously is the big online play is happening in countries like India right now, right? Ethnic is not a very great concept or very strong concept in countries like US, Europe kind of stuff, but it's pretty much India is the ethnic capital of the world, right? So something has to come out from India in ethnic space, right, which is so big, right? So I think the time where the online was going up and the fact that the opportunity existed, I think we pretty much capitalized on that as a first player, and we want to take it global now. So what has been the success mantra of Class? A lot of people ask us, a lot of VCs ask me, what happened in the last 12 months? What changed? I mean, suddenly from nowhere, you are now, somewhere, top 5 e-commerce company right now. So pretty much lies in the fundamentals of the business. Whenever you're doing anything, if you are trying to ape something, you can, in certain environment like today, you can be successful, but most of the time you will not be. I mean, you can't really ape someone and become really big. It's just not possible, because they always, unless you have created disadvantage of funding, which is happening in today's environment, you pretty much will see 10 other players doing the same thing, right? So one of the biggest important factor of why Craftsman.com is successful is unique. The supply is completely unique. You cannot start Craftsman.com thinking today and start tomorrow. You cannot do that. The supply is so disaggregated that for you to actually get to 2.5 million products, you have to go through the same grind as we have gone through, right? So uniqueness is very, very important. Whenever you want to do something, if you can take pretty much the road no one else is taking, right? The initial years and initial journey will always be, oh my goodness, where am I going? But if you believe that beyond the hills something is there, which is so beautiful, you are the only one, right, going there, right? You literally can be mining gold, right? You don't know. You may be mining gold because no one has gone there, right? So pretty much that's one of the biggest factor why Craftsman.com is successful. The other thing which we did, which unfortunately a lot of e-commerce companies are not doing, is very, very capital efficient. Right? We have come to we're doing like 60 million of GMV annual right now. We have come this far in just like spending like $3.5 million. This is like completely unheard of, not only in India, outside of India, even like for $60 million GMV we have, the team size is close to like 300 to 500. We are only 60 people right now, right? So the capital efficiency of a model is something which is just, for a lot of people who look at it, just say, this is just amazing, right? And that has helped us. That has helped us because initially we did not have money, right? We only got $1.5 million from, Nexus and Lightspeed in 2011, right? And pretty much got our next round of funding in 2015, which is like 4 years after. So, sorry, so we had to literally survive for 4 years with that kind of money. But magic happens when you have resource constraint. Magic doesn't happen if you are flushed with a lot of funds. And that I think the magic happened with Craftsman.com, that because we didn't have money, because no one was looking at it, because for a lot of people, we were some animal in the corner which actually no one was excited about. We pretty much used that opportunity to build a model, build systems which were very, very capital efficient. The third thing is global approach. So when I was a VC at Nexus, pretty much what I saw was that the big exits for a lot of our companies were coming because they were global. So from the start itself, what excited me about this opportunity is that it's a global opportunity. It's not an opportunity which is just limited to India, right? And that immediately helps you to exit. Your basically exit opportunities become really, really wide, right? If you're on a journey, it's important that you start the journey. It's important you enjoy the journey, but it's also important that you end the journey so that you have a beautiful ending, right? Some ways, the shareholders or everyone, right? You can't just drum it up, drum it up, drum it up, and then suddenly say, everything's done. I don't care about the company. I made my money and that kind of stuff. You cannot, right? So having a global approach allows you to give it an ending in some ways, IPO or something where you can say that, I want to make it big. And global approach helps you because if you're going to NASDAQ and if you are some XYZ in India, probably they were not very excited, but if you're some XYZ global, they'll be very excited, right? And focus and persistence is something, one of the beautiful thing about 2013 was like a death time for a lot of e-commerce startups. If you study, 2011 was like when everyone like funding, 2012 sort of, cooling down, 2013 everybody ran away. There was no one, if you go to any VC, they were not funding anymore. Right? So one of the things which helped us is that he said, we'll continue. We'll continue because we can continue. Because of a capital efficient, low cost model, very simple, we can continue. And that helped us, right? So if you're doing something, whatever is there may be different for you. The journey may be different for you, the opportunity may be different to you. But some of these key elements, if you can take it, right? Given that I have been on a VC side, I've been on an entrepreneur side, and I have some gray hair on my hair, I can tell you that help you. It can help you. And some of the unique things which we did, like we created World Ethnic Day, right? And that again came from like capital efficiency, blood we have, right? You said, every .com today, every time you switch a TV, every other ad is a .com, and you don't know what is going on, which .com is what, eventually, people, a lot of consumers don't understand, So said, let's take a more content-based marketing approach, right? It's an approach which, as PGPX, as MBA, we actually, I don't know, I was never exposed to in some ways, but a content-based marketing approach is the next generation marketing approach. We're actually doing things which are unique, which you basically use social media, use like a lot of video content, those kind of stuff, to really push your message with a 360-degree marketing approach where you're blasting it even on TV and those kind of stuff, but it registers in the mind, right? The World Ethnic Day is our creation. Craftsler.com created World Ethnic Day, right? It didn't exist, right? But we said, what's a beautiful opportunity? Why not create a World Ethnic Day which doesn't exist, and we are the leaders, right? So we can create, we have the ability to really push it. It did really wonders for us after World Ethnic Day. Just literally in like 2 weeks, traffic has jumped 50%, or sales have done 50%, right? Without really spending a lot of money. Right? A lot of people actually adopted it. The next thing which we're doing is like Miss Ethnic. And we are saying, we will do Miss Ethnic across India, completely online, pretty much, bigger than Miss India in some ways. And pretty much, take the ownership of ethnic equal Craftsler.com kind of stuff. And again, the same philosophy is there. If you go to TV and say Craftsler.com, 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 people don't register that well. But if you say Miss Ethnic, Miss Ethnic, Miss Ethnic, and really engage a lot of people, and in the subtle way say buy Craftsler.com or Craftsler.com presents, they start registering, okay, Miss Ethnic, and everywhere they go and do Miss Ethnic, they will see Craftsler.com, right? So pretty much you're really engaging the customers, you're really engaging the people, not through a direct in-the-face kind of marketing, but through a subtle way of connecting with the customers. And we're doing a lot of other things. We're doing like the Great Ethnic Run. So a marathon, which is like completely in ethnic clothing. So you're not allowed to run in your shorts. You're allowed to run only in ethnic clothing. We're doing like ethnic designer awards with Femina. So it's a designer awards across India with Femina, just really engage with, small designers and really put them. Again, the philosophy is to engage with the customers through multiple touch points, which are not in the face kind of advertising like sales and discounts and those kind of stuff, but really engage them and really hammer in their mind that if they think anything other than craftsler.com, if they think ethnic, it's a sin. You can't think other than craftsler.com if you think ethnic. So, yeah, so phases of Craftsler growth. I thought I'll just have a slide going through different phases of Craftsler in some ways, because typically those are the phases of growth which happens in any company you see in some ways. And pretty much I would say the impulsive startup, every time you start, if you're thinking too much before starting, you probably never start. It's always an impulsive start. For us, it was a start which happened when me and my wife Monica, we pretty much went into Kutch here, right, on a road trip. Realized, oh my goodness, so much of supply lying around, and no one is taking it online onto a single platform. What a beautiful moment we have that online is coming, and only online you can bring everything onto a single platform, right? So it was pretty much a very impulsive start. It's not really we thought through, okay, let's think, and 6 months, those kind of stuff. It's just today we thought, tomorrow company was formed, and then pretty much started everything from that. The first 3 years were completely foundation build up, and that is very important. If you're going aggressively onto a certain path without really building the foundation right, you can be successful, you cannot be. You can be successful if you have a lot of money, if you have a lot of resources, but you definitely will not be successful if you have resource constraint, which is 90% of the cases in India. We are a resource constraint country. We don't have a lot of resources. We always have, unlike US, we already have, not a lot of resources, unfortunately, like that. So we have to build companies which, operate in a resource constrained environment, right? So building a good foundation always helps you, because it can give you efficiencies when you scale up. It helps you build those efficiencies from the start itself. And then you build up your scale, which is pretty much the stage where we are right now, that we are building a scale to like $1 billion GMV, right? Building that scale right now. And then once you have that scale, then you build your brand. And because we don't have, unlike on Flipkart or Amazon, which pretty much has 2 brands, which is Amazon as a front, and then back end you have Nike and Samsung and those kind of stuff. Here, the customer sees only craftsler.com, but the seller brand doesn't exist for them, right? Pretty much we are the brand for them. Pretty much they're buying from us in some ways, right? So that's the next path we want to go. Pretty much take over the whole ethnic space. We push our brand through either products, through others, other ways. But that is going to be the next phase where we actually put our brands in products and those kind of stuff. Actually, this slide I took it because this is one of the articles I wrote when in 2013 when I said no one was funding. This pretty much was a summary of how we survived, right? And I wrote an article saying 5 simple analogies of life. What can you observe in life and say, what can I learn, right? So these are things I learned, right? When I was looking at ghee, the ghee analogy, right? When you churn and make ghee, right? You churn and churn and churn and churn and you get frustrated, nothing is happening. But suddenly the ghee happens, right? Suddenly, right? So the persistence, the focus, you have to literally have a lot of patience when you're an entrepreneur. that someday something beautiful is going to happen suddenly, right? So I think that is one of the important things which happened for us. That really worked. We were working for 3 years. There are times we were wondering what is happening, but we continue. And suddenly, last 12 months, the gig started happening for us in some ways. So the fan analogy, when you're turning on the fan, you never think it will not turn on. The damn thing never, every time you start, it starts. It never goes out of order. Right? Still, because even though it has the moving part, it always, for 25 years, is going to be there, it will always start. Why does it happen? I mean, why does the fan last so long? Right? The thing is so simple. You cannot have any device so simplest of like the fan. Right? So by keeping things simple, you can really last long. And one of the important things which we did in Craftler.com, from business model to having the kind of organizational layer to like the kind of systems we have, the kind of website we have, damn simple. It's something which the fan teaches us. You have to last long, you have to be simple. The banyan analogy in some ways is that you need to build foundation. The reason why banyan tree is there for 100 years, 100 years, that before it grows up, it grows down. So you have to be rooted. You have to literally build a foundation before you start to grow up. Right? The paneer analogy is something is hard to describe in English, but if something really tears you apart, you have to become more valuable than what you were. Right? The paneer is more valuable than the milk. Right? So if someone is tearing you apart, don't bother yourself. You have to become more valuable than what you were. So pretty much, and the crap analogy is something which you learn in a business, is that if you look at a child, right, the child, if it's growing up, it becomes it starts to grow up not when he starts to learn how to eat, but when he starts to handle the crap basically, right? It starts to, so you literally need to handle shit in your life, in your business, right? You grow up when you start to handle that, right? So that 4 or 5 things which actually came out of our own personal experience while at Craftler.com, which literally happened in our organization. This is one of the articles which I wrote recently, which is the theory of constraints for entrepreneurs. And this app is very apt for countries like India, where we have a lot of resource constraints. That you will never have a lot of resources. So you pretty much have to decide your table to dance. That this is my table, and I will dance. I don't have this whole space. I literally have this table, right? How do I dance on it? That's pretty much. And if you put those constraints, then magic starts to happen. You literally start seeing a lot of magic starts to happen. And I think beautiful things happen at Craftler.com because we didn't have a lot of money. Because we were like completely a neglected, e-commerce company in some ways. But it works very well. I mean, something which is, which today we have decided that we will be a marketplace. Pure, true marketplace. One of the rare ones you will find not only in India but globally. We don't fudge anything in our marketplace. No price controls, no logistics, no warehouses, pure marketplace. And that is because we have decided this is our constraint. Now people asked us, you are Mumbai, why not move to Bangalore? I said, Mumbai is my constraint. And I will make it happen in Mumbai. Right? That's why we are probably the only one in Mumbai right now which is the e-commerce company, still. Becoming an entrepreneur is an interesting journey for everyone. But a few of the points which I can share from my own experiences is that the opportunity exists everywhere. Never think this is the opportunity, this is the e-commerce opportunity, this is the taxi opportunity, this is the food opportunity. No. opportunity for a country like India exists everywhere. You literally have to observe, spot, कि यहाँ पे opportunity है. The beautiful part of India is that we are a country which has a lot of people, a lot of things, and we're still at a very low level. So our ability to really scale up in different directions with different kind of people, different kind of hassles, different kind of pain points, the opportunity exists everywhere. And usually the opportunity spotting is either is observation based or either is insight. So either you are in something and you say, oh my goodness, this is the opportunity, or you're out and you observe, and say, oh my goodness, this is the opportunity, right? Pretty much both things work in some ways. For a lot of people, the observation based opportunity works very well. I'm not from a handicraft industry. I'm pretty much an outsider, right? But I observed in some ways, right? And pretty much that's for the same, be it, Ola, they're not from taxi industry, but they observed in some ways, right? Insight-based opportunity spotting is very difficult because you're always limited by your own, cocoon in some way and say whether this opportunity is good or that opportunity is good kind of stuff. And you have to go out of the context. You can't be in the context. You can't, most of the times we think that because I'm in this industry, I know this industry very well, I can actually do better in this industry. Pretty much most times, most successful companies have not come out because somebody is that industry and started to do something, right? Most of the time, an outsider comes and says, because I'm out of the context, I can take bird's eye view. This is the opportunity which so never think that your past is going to define your future in some ways. You can always do something which is more interesting, rather than related to past. And there has to be passion to build something large. Don't settle for something small. That's my view in some ways. You should always think of some big numbers in some ways. If you think it's small, then you always like your passion, your willingness to take a lot of pain will go down. But if you're thinking big, you'll always think that let me take more pain, let me persistent, let me be focused, let me go through this grind because I'm thinking that big. Now, of course, be persistent, focused, and simple. Simplicity is the most important thing. When your journey of entrepreneurship, there are 10,000 problems you will have. And if you don't keep it a very simple thing, as an entrepreneur, everything simple, too much complexity will just break you down. Right? A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, at least I've seen, is that they try to do things which is a lot more complex than it should be. Right? And that process, that handling multiple things, there are too many, wheels moving that they actually cannot really get it going in a big way, right? So complex business models rarely work. That as a VC, I can tell you, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you, if you have a complex business model, probably it will not work, most likely. And you need to have scalability in your model. So one of the things which I learned as a VC, which I applied to even to our business, is that whatever we did, we made it scalable. So finding challenges which will limit you and removing them so that you are not going on the path which is less scalable is an important factor if you're starting business. Right? So for example, our business model, we have a marketplace model. Right? We started with a model where we are buying and selling. In a category where you have millions and millions of products, you actually cannot buy. Right? So literally that was a scalability challenge. So we said, we cannot continue this, so let's get into marketplace model. Right? Which pretty much, we left the inventory to a seller. We're not buying and selling. So so supply suddenly became the whole India in some ways, right? Without literally buying it. So we made things scalable because of marketplace model. Right? So my message to everyone, to be very frank, is become an entrepreneur. If you're thinking of joining a company, you are literally destroying a chance to go on a very beautiful journey, which is entrepreneurship. Right? Entrepreneurship is pretty much a journey where a lot of unknowns are there, right? If you go in a tracking, right, if you pretty much, the first part of the tracking is always, oh my goodness, what I'm doing, what is happening, I don't know. Literally, as you go up and up and up, suddenly you start discovering the beautiful world somewhere, right? So entrepreneurship is that part. You literally have to survive the first 80% of the journey and say, oh, I don't know what is going to happen, right? And the last 20%, when it starts to become beautiful, are the images you will always carry in your mind. I did something good in my life, right? So I have been an entrepreneur myself. I've been a VC, becoming an entrepreneur again. And I really love entrepreneurs. I think they're the most beautiful thing in the world in some ways. So I literally want everyone to become an entrepreneur. I want to see that, right? Last slide is basically just Craftzilla, what kind of culture. If you want to think about joining Craftzilla later part of whenever you're graduating, sort of a pitch for that some ways. So we have a cool culture. You can dress whatever you want to dress in. So it's pretty much open door policy, and it's a beautiful environment in some ways because you'll find a lot of color, a lot of different things, lot of really ethnicity in some ways, enjoy different things, and we have our own fun. Salary infinitely scales with your capability, so we don't have a limit on the salary as such. So and no deficiency of women. Right? So one of the important things which I suffered is I went to IIT, I went to IIM, and all this stuff. Always there were deficiency of women, right? So it's a very gender neutral organization in some ways. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I definitely would love to answer. Yeah, whoever you want to know. Yeah.
I'd like to know, before you were starting out, what were some of your major fears or inhibitions, and how did you overcome them?
Yes, see, I'll tell you, to be frank, I did not have any major inhibitions as such, right? But generally speaking, for in an environment like in India, where at least in 2011, things are slowly changing. The entrepreneurship was more like a taboo in some way. People would say, "What are you doing? Why are you leaving such a cool job and going into something which is who knows what it will be," kind of stuff, right? So I think a lot of people, I think that is the first inhibition. In some ways, how do I convince? How am I going to get viewed in the society, given that I'm losing a very important job? How my family will react? Whether my family will suffer? Those kind of stuff. I think is the first level of inhibition which I've seen a lot of people have in some ways, right? Other things are pretty much related to the opportunity you are seeking, whether it's a big opportunity, whom should I ask, what should I do, what the first step should I take, should I do this, should I that? It's a lot of questions in general when you're starting. Pretty much, pretty much because I was married and I have kids, I mean, that pretty much my inhibition in some ways. Am I taking the right thing? Because you don't really care about yourself, you really start to care about your family. Yeah, when should?
This second last point.
Which one? Which one?
A lot of
Oh, a lot of work. Oh, yeah, yeah. Basically, it's basically means that it's just a fun command in some ways. So you literally don't have to take it. Yeah.
Well, thanks first of all for coming in Indian ethnic wear. Really appreciate it. The second thing is, I myself run into a particular problem. I'm not from the IT field at all.
Okay.
Now, naturally, when you talk about web-based marketing and the whole digital world, you need to have a basic level of understanding of IT. And my expertise has been in renewables, environment, and so on. I think yours probably was in analog design. So when you are trying to balance, on the one hand, capital efficiency, where you're trying to reduce the amount of expenditure, and on the other hand, having a strong foundation, this is fundamental. IT knowledge is fundamental.
Yeah.
So how much effort did you put into increasing your own knowledge base of IT? Did you go and learn programming or things like that? Or did you hire friends who work for free? How did you handle that part?
Yeah, so I mean, technology is our heart. I mean, pretty much whatever we do is based on technology, right? So the good part about us that I come from a technology background. So the first I would say hurdle of starting and those kind of stuff, was easier in some ways for me. But having said that, for any other tech startup, I would strongly encourage that you have someone as a co-founder. I mean, in general, I would say you should have a co-founder. I mean, in India, at least in India, I've seen almost all successful companies have someone, as a founder and co-founder, basically 2 people or 3 people starting, right? Just otherwise, it's a very lonely journey, and you basically start to, you literally need to survive through that journey. So it's good to have someone, right? So having it, if you don't have a technology background, if you're starting a tech, you need to have a tech co-founder. You cannot hire anyone as a tech, because it's a thing which you're so much dependent that if the person goes away, you pretty much are left on your own, right? So my advice will be that get someone whom you think has got strong technology skills, and you can just use that skill to basically as a complementary to if you don't have that, right? But if you're not a tech startup, that's fine. I mean, then website resources you can always outsource. You can always give it to people. Yeah.
You listed all the markets that you operate in, and they align with what you said, that pretty much sourcing from the local market and giving it to the people, making them realize what is there to offer. But you have missed, say, US, for example, for any particular reason, or it's as part of your strategy that you're gonna.
Which one?
USA was not listed there.
Which one listed?
In the markets?
The market?
Yeah.
Oh, it's simply because in US basically we don't have strong, they don't have strong ethnic in some ways history, right?
Sure.
So we are going to markets where there is a legacy of ethnicity, where there is a legacy of culture in some ways, and there is some bit of supply which we can say, okay, now let's rediscover that journey in some ways, kind of stuff, right?
So you don't want to be a global provider for anything ethnic from anywhere? You want to take from the local?
No, as a consumption market, US is always there,
Yeah.
right? So as a consumption market, US is still there today, right? But from a model, which is our model, is to go local and present it to their local customers, right?
All right.
The US is not the ideal market for us.
Okay.
Right? So, but for a Malaysian or Indian or Indonesian, whatever ethnic products they have, US is always a consumption market.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. For a long time, at least in India, the ethnic market was associated with either brands like Fab India, which has a global presence,
Yeah.
or with the local ethnic stores, like you have the government emporiums and all. So how difficult was it for you to take a pie of that market?
Yeah.
I mean, there must have been something which would have differentiated your products from what they were selling. So, what was the factor? And the second question is like when you go into markets like in the Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, how do you figure out what the ethnic taste of that market is like? How do
Yeah.
you do that?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, Fab India and other local stores have a limitation in a way that you're not selling electronics, you're not selling shoes, you're not selling branded um, fashion in some way, right? Which have limited SKUs, right? So you can literally have a small shop and you can have all the phones, right? But that's not possible in ethnic space. Ethnic space, the number of unique products is just millions and millions and millions, right? That's why for Fab India in offline space can never have everything onto a single platform, right? So online is the only way you can literally take all that and present it to the global world in some way, right? So I think that is the opportunity which was there, and we latched onto it and we executed on it, right? So that basically differentiated us from other players. The beauty of all these business models when you look at it is that if there is a disaggregated supply and if there is a long tail consumer demand, and if you are putting a platform which basically matches those two, it's always a very strong platform, right? For us, it's a disaggregated supply. You can't go to 5 to 10 dealers in Chandni Chowk and start electronics. It's not like that here, right? You literally have to go through the whole India in some way, right? So which basically means that it can happen only in online model, right? So that pretty much was because we had a marketplace model and we were online, and pretty much that differentiated us. Going to other markets, that's a new journey for us, to be very frank. But what we believe is that what we have seen in India, because the same kind of elements exist in those countries, it's going to be the same kind of formula of success there in some ways. But everything, we are just starting in Malaysia, for example. So when I went there, pretty much saw the same things in some ways, that it's a disaggregated supply. There's no one has done that. Pretty much early journey there in e-commerce. So pretty much we are the biggest player in India. So why not do the same thing? So that journey, unfortunately, is going to have their own answers as we go forward in some ways. Yeah.
Two questions. The first question was related to the disaggregated demand and the supply model, right? So how do you really manage your supply chain? So you might have a goods which is required from Kutch or maybe from South India or somebody from Jammu and Kashmir asking for a Pashmina shawl. So how do you actually manage and still continue to be near profit organization, because the model itself has to be very efficient and agile to do that. How do you do that?
Yeah, so our model, if you look at it, is a very lean and mean model. Our model has technology, our model has marketing, our model has payments, and our model has customer service, right? We don't have logistics, we don't have warehouses, we don't have inventory, right? We don't have feet on the street kind of onboarding model, right? So that allows us to be, or keep a cost very, very low. We don't have a direct cost. There is no direct cost for us. So we have a 20% commission. 20% commission in any marketplace anywhere in the world doesn't exist. That's only in India we have 20% commission, right? And that's why we have 20% commission, because this whole, we're sitting on a supply which is very low cost, and we're sitting on a demand where there's no MRP. Right? So the margins are 60 to 80% in that model. So we can command 20%. That allows us to basically have basically a model where, because we don't have feet on the street, because we don't have logistics warehouses, which Flipkart and Amazon are investing into a lot of money, we don't have any direct costs. Pretty much our cost is marketing. And the good thing about us is that we have a high average order value. So we have 2,000 rupees average order value. So customer acquisition cost like 600 rupees. We make 400 rupees in every order. Lifetime values are like 6,000 rupees. So pretty much we recover our first marketing the first purchase in some ways, right? And then over and over basically. So that's why, you know, because of that efficiency in the model, we're able to basically scale up with very small money.
But how do you deliver actually?
Oh, the delivery part is the seller directly ships to the customer.
And your liability in the whole?
We don't have any liability. If this product is damaged, if the product is not delivered, seller has to pay penalty, and seller has to bear the cost of the return in some ways. So it's basically completely seller liability. Our job is to make sure the customer money is safe. So we don't release the money to the seller till the customer receives the product and says, I'm satisfied. Right? So only then we release the money to the seller. Otherwise, the money goes back to customer, the seller gets nothing. The product directly goes from the customer to the seller and stuff. So it's a the kind of model we have, no one has in India. Everyone has some kind of, you know, asset or some kind of direct cost involved. And that's why, you know, we in some ways unique in that way. Yeah.
When you started out and you're trying to attract investment in 2011,
Yeah.
how concrete was your business plan, or was it very well defined and you already started and established, or at what stage was that?
So when I went to venture capitalist early part of 2011, we had done some work. There was some proof of concept. We had some few orders, right? But the thing is, you never get funded on a business plan as such. So either you get funded on opportunity, or you get funded on because of your team. You get funded on because you are doing something which is very unique kind of stuff. It's never on the business plan numbers. VCs don't look at it, unfortunately, right? So, or fortunately. So yeah, so pretty much in our case it was because I have from Nexus, I said something, you know. So we didn't get a lot of money, just like, we know this guy, let's put some money behind it kind of stuff, right? So pretty much that was the case. The opportunity, I think, was pretty hazy for a lot of people. You know, 2011, Craftsvilla, you know, they're like, what is this kind of stuff?
Manoj, just a small question. How do you differentiate yourself from the other hardcore retailers who are trying to come online? For example, Kimayas of the world, who are trying to send fashion and ethnic wear now. So how do you differentiate yourself versus the branded ethnic wears which are actually trying to occupy the online space? So is there some strategy that you have to differentiate with?
No, we are, so if you look at a model, you know, Kimaya will have what Kimaya has, maybe 100 SKUs, 200 SKUs, right? We have 2.5 million products. You know, we're literally getting into 10 million, 20 million products kind of range, right? Kimaya can never have that. You know, one thing which we have is 90% women customers. 90% of our customers are women, right? Women will only shop if they have seen 100 designs before they buy one, right? Which is only possible in an environment like Craftsvilla.com, right? So we provide the ideal environment for women to buy in some ways. Which Kimaya, if of course they're brand, of course they can, you know, get some customers, but they will always have limitation of their own set of SKUs being presented.
From consumer point of view, they don't know. They are not dealing with anybody else but Craftsvilla. What are the risks of this model?
Yeah.
And how do you plan to deal with it?
Yeah, so the risks of the model where a consumer is pretty much the risk of our early part of the Craftsvilla, right? Pretty much we're saying that because we don't have brand support, we're pretty much building the brand our own, right? So for people to come and buy from Craftsvilla.com is a pretty big jump in their trust factor. Because they're buying from an unbranded e-commerce store, something completely unbranded, which has no structure in it, completely unstructured category, right? So that's why it's not a model where you can, that's why it takes time. Fortunately, in this kind of business model, this takes time. It's not like you become like Flipkart kind of scale up or Snapdeal kind of scale up in the first few years. So literally the risk for you is that you never scale up. That basically is the risk in these kind of businesses, right? Because building a brand is a tough one in India. I mean, building anything which goes to a lot of people, because in India, brands take time to build up. In India, unless you hear from 10 people, 20 people, it's pretty much word of mouth. You literally cannot be. That's why, Haldiram is a brand. People don't think of anything other than Haldiram when they're thinking of Bhujia, right? You can't displace Haldiram for whatever reason, whatever money you put in, still, right? So that's the risk you run. That you can literally take 10, 20 years to build a brand. But in online, what helps you is that it allows you to go beyond your neighborhoods faster. So you can reach a lot of people. You can use your so one thing which we did was we invested a lot of time in social media. We invested a lot of time in SEO kind of stuff, which is a very, very capital efficient way of marketing, which you cannot unfortunately do in an offline setup. It's very hard to do those kind of stuff. So yeah.
Just.
Do you want to take one more question before we wind up?
Yeah, whatever you decide, I'm fine.
Yeah, just I have a follow-up. And after. So from supply chain point of view, because obviously again, because it is a single brand, if something goes wrong, for example, so obviously you have system in place where you'll make sure that the consumer doesn't lose money. But from image point of view, because you're trying to build a brand, okay, and you are losing a control by having a marketplace model. You're losing a control on supply chain and what consumer experience would be, because the only experience you can control is online. So how do you deal with that risk? Because that is kind of a challenge for you to scale up and to build a brand, that not having control on supply chain.
No, that I completely echo what you're saying from a risk perspective, right? Which is basically you don't have anything in you're playing in a market which is completely unbranded, and you don't have the product yourself. So by selling it to customer, are you quite sure that you're building something which is very positive in some way, right? So that pretty much is the thing which. So I'll tell you what as I told you in my slide, that you have to define your constraints. You have to define a table you want to dance on, right? We said we will play in a marketplace model because we don't have money, we don't have stuff. We literally cannot buy anything. It's a category which is very well suited for it's a long tail category, right? So I mean, literally your tools to scale up pretty much get reduced in some ways, right? So of course the risk is that you may never, as I told you, you may never go anywhere with that kind of stuff. But literally for us it worked. I mean for yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Quality should be important because they are directly giving it to the customers. And secondly, how do you price the products? Because your vendors can price it anything. So do you have any capping or anything like that to determine the pricing that will ultimately go to the customers?
Yeah, seller quality is always the most challenging aspect of any marketplace. Today, even the most established marketplaces suffer from that challenge, seller quality, right? So pretty much what you have to do is you have to calculate seller ratings based on consumer feedback, based on refund, based on dispatch timelines, based on out of stocks and disputes kind of stuff, and you have to feed it into your merchandise. So literally de-promote sellers who have lower seller ratings and promote sellers with high seller rating, right? And that basically you can do automatically. You don't really need to, because you have 2.5 million or 5 million products, literally cannot do it manually. So you have to do it through systems. So that's what the system we have. marketplace. Right? So merchandising is completely automatic. So if you're not doing well on marketplace, you pretty much will never be seen on crafts.com. It's almost impossible that someone will find you if we de-promote you. Right? Sorry, I forgot the other question.
I talked about pricing.
Pricing, yeah. So pricing, we don't control pricing. You can literally price your product whatever you want to price. But because we are a true marketplace, the price discovery happens on crafts.com automatically. The other seller will say, oh, guys, this is selling at 1,000 rupees, let me sell at 800 rupees. Another guy is going to say, oh, this guy is selling 800, let me 600. So you can start with whatever, 10,000 rupees, but the fact of the matter is, literally within few weeks or few days, other sellers will start price beating you. So you will come to a certain price, which is the price where transaction is likely to happen.
One last question.
Oh, sure, yes, sorry, yeah, you want to ask, I'm sorry.
So, okay, this is now the consumer side,
Yeah.
this is all the vendors. So, you have gone multinational. And let's take an example of, let's say, Malaysia.
Yeah.
So, thing is, how you are reaching the vendors? Like, I'm a vendor in Malaysia. Why would I suddenly come to your site and sell things? So, how you are reaching vendors and making sure that they
Yeah, so for the marketplace, you always need to seed something. This is seed which basically you need to put in, and then you have to have a positive feedback where consumer supply and demand is moving up automatically, right? So first 100 you need to build. You need to go out, pitch, and say, please come on crafts.com. And that's the first 100 we did in India also. We went and pitched that, please come to crafts.com. But yeah, we use the same strategy we'll use in Malaysia, that we'll go there and say, please come on crafts.com. It's a beautiful platform. It's the only platform which is available, which has very focused, consumer demand, which is looking for ethnic, right? Once you do that, if you are building demand, then automatically the other sellers will start seeing, they start hearing. See, we don't spend any single dollar on getting supply today in India. $0. We don't have onboarding team. We don't have a seller acquisition team. Right? Pretty much everything is word of mouth. Because there isn't a platform like crafts.com for people to go. Right? Pretty much that's it. We're not fighting for the same customer. Unlike Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal, other players, pretty much fighting for the same customer. We're not. So we pretty much become the de facto platform for sellers to come and start selling. They're pretty much the first platform anyone would talk about if they are listing on anything ethnic. Right?
Yeah, I have one last question. Have you ever got any buyout offers from any of the bigger players?
Which one?
Any buyout? Did someone try to buy Craftsvilla like bigger players?
So I pretty much know everyone in the industry, and they know crafts.com is not for sale.
Yeah, but sometimes, like there are many examples, and entrepreneurs end up selling their ventures. But sometimes there can be some offers which will make a lot of sense for the concept to grow. So in those situations, how do you decide?
See, usually buyout happens if the company, is similar kind of space, and they say, it's my competitor, let me buy it out, right? One of the reasons is that. The other reason is that there's some synergy which others sees that, let me buy this because I have synergy, and because of synergies I will, build a bigger, lower cost and higher revenue in some ways, right? The other reasons. A third reason is that if you see you're capping out, you say, oh, I can't build bigger than this, let me just sell it out because I can't bigger, right? I don't see any reason all the three for Craftsvilla to get bought. We don't have a cap. We have pretty much a big market, pretty much the lone player, right? We are here to buy. We are here to acquire companies, not to get acquired, right? So, I mean, literally, and the vision is big, and we want to continue and ramping up. It's a big opportunity. Why would I terminate my journey right now? It makes sense. Yeah.
The class, I would like to thank Manoj for such a great, inspiring talk. I think he also mentioned that PGPX was the point of inflection in his career, so hopefully it is going to be one for us also. He went through his journey, how he was a VC, he was ready to keep, I'm sure like many of us are like that, and his journey is going to really help us understand things. And it was a great inspiring talk in terms of what he talked about, how an entrepreneur should actually think about. I'm sure with your talk, quite a few of us would turn into entrepreneurs. And with that, I would like to invite Pankaj to give a
Okay, thank you all. Thank you for.